Another season of Destiny 2, another balanced patch from Bungie, and another slightly shifting meta. Season of the Deep brought with it a ton of tuning changes to our subclasses and exotic armor, with both buffs and nerfs affecting some of the most popular builds in the game. In today's video, we'll go over what I believe to be 3 of the strongest builds in Destiny 2. We've got one for each class with each section timestamped below, and dim loadout links for each build in the description. I hope you find the video helpful, but before we get into it, fellas, we gotta talk. It's 2023, and if you're still neglecting your front yard or even your backyard, then you're gonna have some lonely cookouts this summer. Luckily, Manscaped is here to help you out with the Perfect Package 4.0. The highlight of this package is the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This is Manscaped's 4th generation trimmer with skin-safe technology that's designed to protect against nicks and cuts, especially when you're doing maintenance on your Ascended realm. It's cordless and waterproof, which means you can use it while showering, and it even includes a wireless charging dock. Included with the kit are the Crop Preserver deodorant and the Crop Reviver toner spray to keep you feeling fresh all day long. You can use code GRAY to get 20% off the Perfect Package 4.0, free shipping, and 2 free gifts included with your order. Huge thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the content. Alright, the first build on the chopping block is for all my hunters out there. Hunters have access to a lot of powerful builds, but none of them can compare to the perfect combination of lethality and utility that is the Void subclass. Paired with the Gyrfalcon's Hauberk exotic chest piece, this subclass can handle any type of content at any difficulty, anywhere in the game. Paired with this season's artifact perks, it has more survivability than ever before. A quick recap, Gyrfalcon's Hauberk grants us volatile rounds for 10 seconds on our Void weapons every time we exit invisibility. We pair this with the Stylus Executioner aspect, which instantly makes us invisible again every time we defeat a Void debuffed target. This creates one of the most satisfying and powerful gameplay loops in Destiny 2, and that's before we even add the rest of our aspects, fragments, and mods. Our second aspect is Vanishing Step, which simply allows us to turn invisible whenever we dodge. This is what allows us to begin the Gyrfalcon's loop or restart the loop at any point during combat. For our fragments, we begin with Echo of Undermining. This makes our Void grenades apply the Weaken debuff for 15% increased damage. This works directly with Stylus Executioner as another means of turning invisible as well. We pair this with Echo of Remnants to increase the duration of Void grenades, and Vortex Grenade is the best option to use here. Echo of Persistence will increase the duration of our Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour buffs, and this season we are able to utilize all 3 of these buffs simultaneously thanks to our artifact perks. Finally, Echo of Starvation will grant us Devour every time we pick up an Orb of Power or Void Breach. This gives us an incredible form of healing and grenade energy on top of our constant invisibility. The artifact perks Unto the Breach, Protective Breach, and Supernova add another layer of survivability and debuffs to the build this season as well. The build itself is an ad-clearing survivability machine, but the cherry on top is of course the 30% debuff the subclass brings to the table with its super for any boss or raid encounter. It makes Void Hunter borderline mandatory for certain in-game content and solidifies it as one of the strongest options in the game. I recommend 100 Resilience and 100 Discipline as your first stat priorities. Armor mods like Reaper, Firepower, and Harmonic Siphon will allow us to generate plenty of orbs easily, while mods like Elemental Charge, Powerful Attraction, and Void Weapon Surge help take the build even further. Use the dim link in the description for a full suite of mods that I tailored specifically for this build, but for the sake of the video, it's time to move on. Solar Warlock has always been a go-to subclass for in-game in Destiny 2, but it saw some pretty big shakeups this season with the nerf to Starfire Protocol. This left a lot of us wondering what would take its place, and these Sunbracer's exotic arms have risen to the challenge. This exotic has always been good, but never saw a lot of usage living in the shadow of Starfire Protocol. Combined with the build crafting changes that came in Lightfall, Sunbracers are stronger than ever and probably the most meta option for Solar Warlocks. After getting a kill with your Solar melee ability, you get unlimited Solar grenades for 5 seconds. This is incredible for ad clear and melting some bigger targets, and with the right build can give you tons of ignitions and ability energy, all while having Well of Radiance in your back pocket. You'll want to take Touch of Flame for your first aspect, as this makes our Solar grenades last longer and deal more overall damage, and for your second aspect, I personally prefer Heat Rises for this build. This allows us to consume our grenade, allowing us to shoot, melee, and use our grenade while gliding, and airborne final blows grant us a ton of melee energy back, allowing us to keep the Sunbracer's loop going. On top of it, while Heat Rises is active, you can pair it with the Phoenix Dive class ability to gain restoration and scorch nearby targets when you land. You can combo that off of the Incinerator Snap melee to instantly cause multiple ignitions easily, and this also counts as a melee kill to activate Sunbracers as well. It's very useful for bigger targets. Ember of Ashes will increase the number of Scorch stacks that we apply from all sources, making it easy to trigger ignitions. Ember of Singeing grants class ability energy whenever you scorch a target, and Ember of Searing grants melee energy from defeating Scorch targets and also creates a fire sprite. Your fourth slot can be used for Ember of Resolve or Ember of Empyrean, both of which will improve our healing capabilities, but feel free to experiment with this slot. The stat spread here is pretty interesting. I still recommend 100 Resilience, but then I would suggest 100 Recovery as well. We don't necessarily need 100 Discipline, although it does help when you're outside of the Sunbracer's loop. You'll want to take mods like Harmonic Siphon, Firepower, and Reaper to generate Orbs of Power, as well as Bolstering Detonation, Impact Induction, and Recuperation to round out the build. Again, the full dim loadout link can be found down in the description. Now, it's funny how some builds will just never leave the upper tiers of D2, and one of those builds has to be Arc Titan. Even after Bungie nerfed Hoyle, the new build crafting system managed to keep the classic Arc Titan Hoyle build alive, and with the current seasonal artifact perks, it's just as strong as ever. While it isn't new and flashy, it's still one hell of a build that you can take anywhere in the game. The build revolves around using the Thruster class ability to empower our grenade and melee via Heart of Inmost Light. Even with the reduced duration of the Hoyle buff, our mods and Orbs of Power will give us more than enough uptime on all of our abilities. I recommend the Thunderclap melee now that Shoulder Charge was nerfed mobility-wise, and Pulse Grenades are now the best option as well for Arc Titans. Our first aspect is Touch of Thunder. This enhances the functionality of our Arc Grenades and will increase the damage of our Pulse Grenade, as well as enable it to create Ionic Traces as well. Our second aspect will be Knockout. Critically wounding or breaking an enemy's shield infuses our non-powered melees with Arc Energy and increases our melee range and damage for a short time. Defeating a target within melee will grant us health regen and make us amplified at the same time. This aspect does a lot, and a neat thing about it is that when our non-powered melee is infused, it will work with the heavy-handed mod to continue to generate orbs on melee final blows. On top of that, being amplified has a ton of benefits this season from our artifact perks. Thunderous Retort will increase the damage of our Thunder Crash super by 30% while we are amplified, and Electric Armor will grant us a 20% damage reduction while we are amplified as well. Shock and Awe will allow any arc final blow to create an additional burst of lightning that damages and jolts targets while we are amplified. And lastly, Lightning Strikes Twice will reduce our arc grenade cooldown for 5 seconds whenever we throw an arc grenade, and this effect can be extended with additional arc final blows. Moving on to our fragments, Spark of Magnitude will increase the duration of Pulse Grenade to 8 pulses up from 6, and Spark of Shock allows our grenades to jolt targets, which will allow them to stun overload champions. Spark of Recharge will grant us additional grenade and melee energy whenever we are critically wounded, and finally, Spark of Resistance will grant us even more damage resistance when we are surrounded by 3 or more enemies. 100 Resilience and 100 Discipline will be your stat priorities here, and you'll want to take mods like Heavy Handed and Harmonic Siphon for orb generation. Using the Powerful Attraction mod on our class item will allow us to collect all nearby orbs instantly whenever we use our Thruster ability. Take it further with Bomber and Outreach on your class item for even more free ability energy, and Grenade Kickstart on your arms to refund your grenade quicker. Arc Titan will truly take some serious nerfs to ever knock it off its throne as an S tier build, so it's a great idea to have this set up on your Titan for the foreseeable future. That's going to do it for the video, guys. These builds are incredibly strong this season and will be even in future seasons. If you found this helpful, a like and sub is greatly appreciated, and remember to use the dim loadout links below to set these builds up on your characters in game. That's all from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.